Retiree Diary.
Good morning. So I got this canvas here that I put the underpainting on yesterday. I'm attempting to recreate this photo from the Catskills in New York, and so this is what I have so far. It's been a fairly limited palette so far of, you can basically see here Payne's gray, a little bit of ultramarine, some burnt umber, some yellow ochre. This is, wow. Venetian red. Yeah, thank you. Venetian red. Emerald green, which I don't really use much of, just a touch here and there. This is cadmium yellow medium, and this is cadmium lemon, which is my preferred yellow. And then this is warm white, which I get in Lucas. I'll show you that. I use rather a lot of, actually, I guess I don't use all that much. I bought this a year ago, and I haven't really used up much of it, especially when you compare it to the titanium white that I started using at the same time. So, but I would say that probably the Payne's gray and the titanium white are my two most used pigments. Which, of course, is what swine use to freshen their breath, right? Pig mints. I apologize profusely for that. Maybe not. Anyway, don't want ultramarine. I want my Payne's gray. Here we go. I use Payne's gray mostly for the blue that it provides. So any of my greens that I make, if I'm doing the trees, will either be Payne's gray with yellow ochre, if I want a duller green, which is usually what I want. And if I want the real highlights, then I'll use the cadmium lemon to get the effect that I want. And that's basically it. I mean, that's my palette. I mean, most of the time I'll just forego the cadmium yellow and the emerald green, mostly because I don't need them. Let's see, throw a little bit more of the burnt umber on my palette also. So I use these Masterson Stay Wet palettes. I have one for my acrylic box. This one I use for the oils because I can seal it up after. And I use these, pads of palette paper, which I have rather a lot of because, well, here's one that I haven't completely used up yet, but I've got more boxes of it in here because it's just so darn useful. Let's see, do I have any more? Am I gonna have to go get more? I may have to go get more. Yeah, I may have to go get more of these. That's okay. My favorite art supply store is having a 30% off sale beginning of the year, so I think I'll have to go there and stock up on stuff. Anyway, so what's going to happen here is I'm going to work on this painting. I'm going to put it on time lapse so you can watch it. I'm not really going to describe what I'm doing here because I'll be listening to podcasts because that's what I do when I paint. I listen to podcasts, and I have a rather extensive catalog to go through today. This underpainting is pretty good. I got the basic toning down. The sky's going to need a little bit more work, but not much. The mountains are just going to get a little bit of detail here and there just to suggest the distant trees. Then I'm going to, obviously throw in more details on these trees, get a lot more into this tree here. This is going to take some texturing down here. Now, the photo has another building right here, but I don't want to put that in because the building is mostly covered up by the trees and doesn't really add anything to it. So I'm probably, instead of doing that, just kind of put a dark line down in here to represent the edge of the woods here. And then like here, here, and here. This tree is in the foreground. This tree is in the, well, technically the foreground. And so is this tree. And I'm not going to go crazy with the details here. It's just going to be texture. So the majority of my effort on this is going to be in getting in some suggestion of detail in the mountain behind here. really coming to grips with some of the texturing in the trees in the middle ground here, and focusing my efforts on getting some nice weathering in the boards here and here, and getting the real details in this tree and this tree and this tree. And then just kind of scumbling in the detail beyond that. So that's where I'm at with this painting. So I'll at least time-lapse today's session and see where we go from there. So, enjoy! Oh, that was fun. I had to take a break. I noticed I dipped my hand into something, and I ended up with paint all over my sweat jacket and my sweatpants. So this is great. You know, being retired, sweats is basically just a way of life. It's pretty cool. Anyway, so I've come to a stopping point. I'm going to keep going, but I wanted to show you what I've been doing so far. So I've been using this little, what is this, number 2? Yeah, number 2 filbert brush. That comes to a little bit of a point, but this brush is really good for placing in, stippling in suggestions of trees on distant mountains. And I'll show you my palette that I'm using. Hang on a second. So I've been essentially just mixing the Payne's gray with burnt umber, and then throwing in some mild suggestions of other colors, including this lovely Venetian red that I rely on so much. And here is the result. Again, this is just stippling in and creating the suggestions of the tops of the distant trees on the hill. Notice that the ones that are further away are a lot fainter and smaller, so that it gives you a layered effect. It's actually coming out pretty well. Now that I have that area done, and I don't really think there's much more I have to do with it, I can start playing around with the details on these trees here, trying to get them looking the way they're going to look. Now that's going to be a little trickier and require a little bit more time, and probably a pretty judicious application of the fan brush. The fan brush is a phenomenal brush to use for this purpose. So I'm going to continue on that. I just wanted to give you an idea of what I was doing and why. And that's as far as I'm going to get for today. So let me show you exactly what I did in order to get here. So as you can see, I did a lot of stippling in with various different shades, used my round brush to kind of suggest where the branches were going to be and the trunks were going to be. I used the fan brush to sort of rough in this fir tree right here. I used the fan brush also to sort of stipple in some essential texturing into the grass in the foreground. This still needs a tremendous amount of work, but we've come a fairly long way today. I'm actually very pleased with where we're at. Just take a look at my palette, and it's one heck of a mess that I'm going to have to clean up, but that's typical. And my brushes, everything will get cleaned off, and eventually it will end up looking like that. Although it's coming along pretty well, I have to say. Thank you for joining me for this session here today. I hope you enjoy it. If you did, leave a comment, and I'll bring it to you next time as I finish it up. Ciao.